Hi everyone, happy Scoliosis Awareness Month and welcome to day one of this 3-day mini series. So thanks for watching live. If you're on here, come say hi. In the comments, let me know where you're tuning in from because I can't see your names pop up right now. And also if you're catching the replay later, because I know with the time difference everywhere, not everyone will be able to catch it live. Thanks for watching. Type replay, let us know where you're watching from as well. All right, so in case we haven't met yet, I wanted to just give you a little bit of background. My name's Vivian, and I'm the creator of SCOLIOFITNESS. So it is a one-of-a-kind methodology that helps those of us with scoliosis, myself included, to rebuild strength and confidence in our bodies. So I help people to go from what I call a scolio seeker, and that's what I once was as well, and you may or may not also relate to this, where I was just looking for, doing all the Googling, doing all the searching, trying to figure out what I can and can't do for my scoliosis, what's good for it, what's not, looking for all the different resources to being scolio fit. So not just physically fit, but also mentally and emotionally fit. Because all of it comes together, and because it's so important, because as you know that living with scoliosis, it's not just just for a little bit or at all. It's 24/7, 365 days a year. So that's why SCOLIOFITNESS includes not just exercises, but it's nutrition, mindset, and lifestyle practices too, because it's so important what we're doing throughout the day. It's not just that hour at physical therapy or at the gym that's going to just impact the way that we feel in our body. Okay, so today we're going to talk about some breathing for scoliosis. So I'm just going to refresh real quick just to make sure no one has any questions. I think we have Jacqueline from Virginia here as well. Who else is on here? Come say hi. Just want to make sure the comments are coming through. 1 second. Okay, cool. And I think we have John watching from London too. Hello, hello. All right, so if you guys have seen my IG Live that I did last week, we talked a lot about the importance of using and controlling your breath for just like stress management, and it will help with your mood, it'll help with your sleep and everything as well. Hello, Anita and Deborah. So nice to see you guys on here. If you have any questions, definitely type them in the comments as well as we go along. So, okay, so back to the breath work. So the breath work is so important, right? And I know that we all know how to breathe, obviously, and it's part of our autonomic nervous system. So that means it's automatic, right? So we're breathing when we're sleeping, when we're eating, just we don't really have to think about it. But by tuning into our breath and by controlling our breath and being able to use it optimally, we're gonna actually feel all the difference in our body. So the way that your body is going to feel, it can help to reduce pain. It's gonna improve your mood. It's gonna make such a difference in so many different ways, which is why it's important to tune into your breath, right? So part of the autonomic nervous system, there's the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. So if you're not familiar with this, I'm going to give you a little bit of background, right? So when we are in like a stressed state, right? So you missed your deadline for work or for school, you're rushing in traffic, you're kind of notice you're breathing into your chest, right? So you're in your sympathetic nervous system. So that's your fight or flight. And your body is producing cortisol and adrenaline and everything just the same way as if we were getting chased by a tiger. It doesn't really know the difference between your deadline stress or just kind of your everyday work stress or just sitting at your computer to just literally just running for your life, right? And then there's the parasympathetic nervous system. So that's your rest and digest. And ideally, that's what we want to be in when we are sleeping, right? So that's when we're restoring. When we're in that state, our digestion will be better as well. We'll feel more relaxed. Our body will be more pain-free. So what we're going to work on is turning off the sympathetic nervous system and then turning on the parasympathetic nervous system, right? So getting out of the fight or flight, getting into the rest and digest, just the calming So we just need to calm our nervous system, because when our nervous system is super heightened, then it's actually going to also impact our mobility and what we're able to do with exercises, but just also our everyday activities, okay? So that is part of what we're gonna work on, but on top of that, we have scoliosis, which is why I know you're all here right now, because we're talking about breath work for scoliosis. So with our curves, so if you have, right, a curve that's in your thoracic spine, so that's more of your upper back or mid back, then it's also attached to your ribs. So say this is my curve, and the way the camera is, I'm actually mirroring you. So say this is actually my right thoracic curve, right? So it's gonna be your right side, you're gonna looking on the right side too. So the side of the curve is called the convex side, and then the side opposite the curve is the concave side. So you just kind of think it's kind of like caving in, so that's your concave side. So the ribs on the convex side are actually kind of spread out, whereas the ribs on the other side kind of get squished together. So that means that your intercostal muscles and everything between the ribs are also squished together, and that's gonna also might impact the breathing. So by using our breath, which is really amazing, we can actually kind of help to open up the side opposite our curve, which can help with our scoliosis and hopefully help with a little bit of that derotation as well. So I just threw a lot of information at you. So if you have any questions or anything so far, let me know, but we're gonna get into a little bit of the practice. We're gonna first start by just turning off the sympathetic nervous system, getting into the diaphragmatic breathing. That's gonna be more of that parasympathetic way of breathing, and it's the 360 breathing, which I will teach you here, okay? So I'm going to start seated, and then we will get onto the floor, because actually I prefer to do this laying down. So if you're sitting on the floor, if you can get a cushion, your yoga bolster or pillow, or a yoga block, and sit on the block, or you can also sit on a chair or your couch, whatever is more comfortable for you. Okay. See, the comments aren't coming through right now, so. All right, so as you find your seated position, ideally what you want to do, the reason why I want you to sit on a block or a pillow is, you notice how when I'm sitting on that, I'm already getting a lot more upright than how I was sitting earlier, right? So you should be sitting kind of on your sit bones, and that's going to help you kind of just get a little bit more lengthened. And I always try to think about a string at the top of my head, but going through or towards the back of my head, that's kind of lifting me up. Okay, so just kind of thinking it's going up your spine, up the back of your head, lifting you up and getting taller that way. And by sitting on your sit bones, it kind of helps with that as well. And by having good posture, it's also going to help with your breathing, right? So because if we are kind of hunched over, you notice you can only breathe into your chest. And if you kind of flare your ribs out, you're also breathing your chest. So you want to be able to get into all your breathing parts. And your diaphragm is your main respiratory muscle. So it's a dome-shaped muscle that's right below your ribs, right here. And so as you inhale, what it does is it contracts, so then it's gonna push down. And then as you exhale, then it's gonna come back up. Okay? So what we're gonna try to focus on is breathing into our diaphragm. So first, I want you to start by finding a comfortable seat on a block or pillow. If you notice that one hip is more forward than the other, then I want you to put that leg, so I want you to put the opposite leg in front, okay? So usually the side of your curve, sometimes that side might rotate back a little bit more, so I want you to put that foot in front. Okay, so, and if any of this is confusing, that's why I have a special bonus Zoom this Friday, so you can come with your questions based on what we're kind of going through the next couple days, okay? So first, let's start with one hand on your chest, one hand on your belly. And I just want you to think about that string on the top of your head getting you nice and long, and I just want you to close your eyes and just breathe. Take a big breath in through your nose, and then a big breath out through your nose. So a lot of my work, we try to focus on that nasal breathing as well. So you continue to keep your eyes closed, continue breathing, inhale, and then exhale. So I want you to notice, is your breath going more into your chest or into your belly? And if you're by your computer, you can always type it in the comments as well, just so we kind of know what you're feeling. And ideally, what we want is trying to bring most of our breath down, okay? So focusing on bringing the breath into the belly a little bit more, okay? So try to inhale again, try to expanding, and then exhale. So of course you're gonna feel the breath in your chest as well, but that shouldn't be the main focus, okay? So now as you are breathing in, I want you to try to inhale, and then now try to extend your exhale. Try to make that one longer. So if you're inhaling for 2 counts, try to exhale for 4. Okay? Or if you can, try to inhale for 3, and then exhale for 6. And then notice your body should be feeling a lot more relaxed right now as we're going through this, okay? So now, what we actually want to do, first we want to get out of our chest breathing, right? Get into more belly breathing, but what we actually want to do is that diaphragmatic 360 breathing, right? So we want to think actually about breathing into the lower lobes of our lungs. So you can place your hands onto your ribs. So your top two fingers on bottom of your rib, bottom 2 fingers just right underneath the ribs, and then your thumb wrapped around. Now from here, I just want you to close your eyes again, and I want you to think about breathing into your hands. And then you should feel your ribs kind of expanding and kind of your fingers moving away from each other. And then slowly exhale. Good. And try that again. Inhale. And breathe. Good. And then now as you're inhaling with the scoliosis curve, so if you know your curves, what we want to try to do is actually breathe into the side opposite our curve. So remember that concave side? We actually really want to try to breathe into that. And it takes a lot of focus, so don't worry about it today if it's too much. You could just make sure you're breathing into the lower lobes, into the bottom of your ribs here, and then slowing down your exhale. If you know your curves and you want to try, sometimes I like to just touch that one side and just think about breathing into that side, and it takes a lot of focus, but you can do it, okay? And it'll just take some practice. Let's see. All right, so Jacqueline said, I'm using the edge of a chair because the floor is uncomfortable, getting the results you're describing. Yes, that's perfect. So if you're sitting in a chair, so everyone just continue breathing. If you're sitting in a chair, if you could just sit at the edge of your seat, you can also place a little pillow if you need underneath you, feet flat on the floor, okay? So you just want your knees just slightly below your hips, okay? Perfect. So now what we're gonna do, I wanted to show you while we're seated just so then you can see me, but ideally, the best way to do this and get into your parasympathetic nervous system, I prefer actually laying on the floor. So if you can join me on the floor here, you can, there's various options. So I like to sometimes lay with my feet on a chair, right? So my legs on a chair. Or if you see me on Instagram, I also do this a lot with my legs up the wall. Or if you don't have the chair, you can always place a pillow underneath your knees or just keep your knees bent. From here, we can do the same thing. Hand on your chest, hand on your belly, and just inhale. Get into that, bringing the breath down, and then you can place your hands onto your ribs, and then try the same thing. Okay, and just continue breathing there. Now, usually when I am teaching my sessions, we have a bit more time. I actually use some padding underneath my back, depending on my curve as well. So hopefully I can teach you guys all that some other time too. Okay, so just focusing on just breathing into the diaphragm, getting to the 360 breathing. And what I want you to think about is not just the ribs moving apart and breathing up here, it's 360 because we want to also breathe into our back. Okay, so you can also, from here, you can just breathe. Just think about gonna feel your back move towards the floor as well. So we're not trying to jam our back into the floor, but just kind of trying to get as much of that 360 breathing as possible. And another way of getting that feedback, if you feel that your hands, when you do place your hands onto your ribs, then your shoulders kind of get a little bit tight. If you have a TheraBand, you can wrap it around your bottom ribs as well. And this is kind of elastic and it has a little bit of resistance. So it gives me that feedback. So I just place my hands onto my thighs here, and it gives me that feedback when I'm breathing. So I'm feeling my breath going around the bottom ribs, right? So I'm feeling it in my back, my side bodies, and the front. If you don't have a TheraBand, you can also use a small towel, a scarf or something, and just hold it here so then you can kind of feel how the breath also goes into your back. And exhale. So I always like to try to extend the exhales as much as possible. So if you can work up towards breathing in for 4 counts, and then exhale for 8 counts. And sometimes if we are so used to being in this sympathetic nervous system, when we try to think about our breath work and focus on the breath too much, then it actually can give us some anxiety. So if that tends to be too much for you, then just relax into it and just think about where you want the breath to go, and don't worry about the counts. And then just make sure you're breathing in through your nose and then out through your nose. And practice that. Let me know how everything is feeling for you. And then tomorrow, we'll go into some lengthening exercises and stretches just to kind of help to decompress the spine and create some length. And then on Friday, we're gonna put these together into a little bit of a longer session on the Zoom so that I can see you. You can ask me questions, and we're gonna do strengthening. We're gonna do some of my favorite go-to core exercises because that's, of course, important to keep our core strong. But the core, the breath, all of that will also work together. All right? So if you have any questions, place them in the comments below when you're watching live now or when you watch later. And I will try to get to them or answer them tomorrow as well. I'll be here again tomorrow, same time, same place. And if you want to join the special bonus Zoom on Friday, again, this is all totally free. So message me for the link or check your email. I sent everything out to my newsletter. Okay? Awesome. Well, thanks so much for joining me today. And I will see you guys again tomorrow. Bye.